Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome for Mr. Harold Glenn Minerva of XODE.
My name is Harold Glenn Minerva. I am currently connected with Blackspace Corporation, which is the company that gives you the XODE blockchain, and I'm a Polkadot Blockchain Academy alumni. So today, or this afternoon, we will talk about Polkadot ecosystem and how you can benefit the Polkadot ecosystem. But first, let us go back in time. Based on the slide, can you see the slide? Okay, we started off with Web 1.0 back in the 90s. And during the time, it's just pure HTML, CSS, maybe a little bit of e-commerce, and JavaScript, an applet, and a typical relational database called SQL to do the database storage. Then after 10 years, we came up with social media, mobile app, web app, the rest of the frameworks like React, Angular, Vue frameworks. We have a cloud services. Then we have communication between two applications called through a REST API communication. I'm sure you know all about this, no? Because you're all developers and want to be developers. But we are now moving now to Web 3.0. So this is what we are introducing, and we are introducing some of the tools that you could use for Web 3. So what is Web 3? Number one is that you will be using blockchain. Number two is that the typical organization, like setting up your businesses, will now be managed through a decentralized autonomous organization, which is actually a DAO. Then instead of apps, you will be using what we call dApps. Okay? And instead of a REST API for the business logic, we will be using smart contracts. And so on and so forth. AI is there, and then also the RPC communication between two applications. So what it does is that we are moving away from what we call trust into the truth kind of paradigm. Because before in Web 2, we normally trust Zuckerberg and the rest of the team to manage our data, hold our data, transmute our data, or sell our data. We trust him. But with Web 3, we kind of move the shift from trusting someone or a big corporation into holding our own truth. That's the effect of Web 3. And this one has to have what we call a trustless provisioning of infrastructure. Before, if you are going to be a server of Facebook, you will have to be Facebook. In Web 3, if you are a server of Polkadot, you don't have to be Polkadot. You can set up your own server here in the Philippines. So that is why we call it trustless provisioning of infrastructure. Anyone can be a server. Okay? And also we have what we call, we don't need to trust in order for us to do transaction. So we don't really care who is managing the database because you are actually maintaining your own database. Anyway, so these are the desired properties that Web 3 is about. So if you are going to develop a system or an application, you must have these desired properties in order to achieve the objective of Web 3. So number one is that it is permissionless. So when you design an app, you have to make sure that anyone can access it permissionless. Number two, authenticity. When you design an app, all transaction has to be signed by the user in order for that transaction to be authentic. Okay? And number three is behavior. You must design an app like a smart contracts or maybe a palette in Substrate so that they don't necessarily trust the programmer's attitude, political inclination, and so on and so forth. They would only trust the code, not the developer. Privacy. You must design your app in a way that the user data cannot be accessed even to you. Okay? Only the user can access the data. Or the user will give his authority to you for you to access your data. Finality. Finality means if the data goes into the chain, you can never ever erase it. It's there forever. Okay, not like a typical database that when you write a database, you can just do deletion, do update, etc. In blockchain, if you write something on the chain, it will be there forever for everyone to see. And the most important is unstoppability. Meaning when you write an application, no one can stop it because everyone can set up a server for it. So even the government cannot stop it. So right now, no one can stop Bitcoin. Right? So they might as well join Bitcoin. So this is the actual infrastructure that I'm talking about when you design Web3. So when you look at it, at the top portion is your dApp. Your dApp runs on a mobile phone, on a web app, etc. And your dApp communicates to the smart contract, which is actually your business logic, which is inside your blockchain and then managed by the DAO. Okay? And at the bottom of this business logic are the infrastructure, meaning if every one of us can set up our own infrastructure, set up our own server. And for the DAO, if you are going to be a member of the DAO, you must be a token holder. So when you design an app on Web3, you must release token. So the main infrastructure, the main data storage of a blockchain, of a Web3, is the blockchain. So as you can see, you are all computer science students. And you know what is a state machine, right? Correct? You know, guys, what is a state machine? So a blockchain is just a state machine. Okay, it has one state, and then there's a function or activity that changes to another state. So it is just a state machine with a shared history. Okay, so it copies all the state from one point to another, and it is shared by everyone. Then it has a consensus mechanism. Meaning if a lot of us will copy or add to the database, we will have to decide, all of us, to join into the blockchain, which is one is correct or which is one is the truth. So what is Polkadot? Polkadot is just a relay chain. Serving as a network backbone, the relay chain facilitates communication and consensus among all connected chains, ensuring security, coordination, interoperability among the ecosystem's various parachains, including XODE, which is us. Each designed for specialized purpose. So when you communicate to Polkadot, you cannot communicate directly to Polkadot. You have to create your own blockchain in order to join to the Polkadot community. Or you can just use XODE, which is the first Philippine blockchain. We are the first to launch our mainnet here in the Philippines for this specific blockchain. So what it does is, you have a Polkadot at the other side, and then a lot of parachain connects to Polkadot, and inside that parachain, which is also a blockchain, are the applications. The applications are Humidify, Zeward, X Games, whatever applications that you can create in the future. No? You guys are developers. You can create applications on top of XODE. Okay? And some of these applications can bridge other tokens, like it can absorb or collect Bitcoins and put it in XODE, absorb a lot of Ethereum and put it in XODE. So, programmers na mo, di ba? Programmers na mo, natin kami code. So this is how you write a smart contract. Very simple. So this is written in Rust on a framework called Ink and compiled into a WASM. So I think you are familiar what is a WASM, diba? So all your browser logic and computational power are done through WASM, including your mobile phone. So this was created by Mozilla. So how do you make a smart contract? Very simple. You just create one class called switch. This is one example. And in this class, more or less, you have what we call the struct, which is actually the storage where you store your data. And the IMPL implementation, which is actually the implementation of the structure inside the class switch. Take note of the implementation. So new is a constructor, you toggle, you get, everybody can understand, no? New meaning you create a switch, Toggle meaning you switch on or off. And get meaning you get what is the current switch state, whether it is on or whether it is off. Correct? Everybody can understand? All right, very good. Grammar's good name. So right now, we will use an app, create an app, and then communicate to that smart contract. So how do you do that? Very simple, JavaScript. Everybody knows JavaScript, diba? Okay, so what you do in the JavaScript, you state the provider, meaning where's the RPC node. Right here, the example is rpczode.net. You state the address of this contract, because every contract has the address. And then you execute what are we executing here? What method are we executing? New, diba? So it is a constructor, so we are creating a switch. Okay? Claro? Everybody knows? Okay, so based on simple structure, smart contract and the apps, we are creating applications. And we have two applications currently on the way in XODE. One is Humidify and one is XODE. So Humidify is an application that manages all the tokens in XODE, meaning it is just like a bank. Like consider a bank has dollars, has peso, has yen. So Humidify has Bitcoin, has Ethereum, etc. So it is just like a bank. Okay, this is one application that we are putting in XODE so that we can put liquidity into the system. And the other one is XODE. So XODE is just like if you want something done or you want something investigated, you just have to file a case. And all of us can submit an evidence to that case. So anti-scammer. So we have a bank and we put in also XODE to make sure that nobody can scam people. So these are the applications that will be coming into XODE. And you can also create your own application. You just approach us, I have an idea, Glenn, I want this, I want that. Oh, they approach us, no problem. We can support you and give you the infrastructure you need in order to build your own application in Web3. Oh, so another one is that for every application, like me, I've created several software as a service application. If I have a product that I have created, I need to have a corporation that manages the product, sells the product, hire programmers to update the product, and so on and so forth. To me, a lot of work in order for me to create a value from my product so that I can sell the product. Okay? If you're just a programmer, you created a product, you don't create a corporation, you cannot sell the product. So there's no money coming into you. So you need to create a corporation. In Web3, you create a DAO. Okay? So you're not creating a corporation, you're creating what we call a decentralized autonomous organization. And it has three parts. Number one, governance. Number two, the treasury. And number three is the ambassadors. When you look at it, governance is just telling how the system is going to be set up, how it's going to be configured. Treasury is meaning who programmers that I'm going to pay, so on and so forth. And ambassador is the one that sells the software. So if you have this, you have the product, you have now a value chain, and you can make money out of it. Another thing about DAO is that if you create a DAO, you can raise funds for your product. Meaning you can go there and then get some money and then build your product. And one of that is Polymec. So actually, this is the process of Polymec. So Polymec is a Swiss company. You go to Polymec, you say to Polymec, hey, I have a good product, I want funds. So this is the process. You go to funding, you got an application, you got a funding round, you get rewards, you distribute your token, and then you launch it to the mainnet. Okay? So if you want more of this, we can discuss. So aside from that, there are a lot of organizations that you could join. No? There is a Polkadot OpenGov where you can join in and discuss what is Polkadot, maybe submit some proposal. There's a DAO investing, meaning if you have a idea and you want it to be funded, then go to Polymec. And if you are a programmer and would like to learn more about Rust, smart contracts, Polkadot, Substrate, and so on and so forth, you can just go to OpenGuild. And then you can go to Discord if you want to know more about XODE, our community, what are we doing, and so on and so forth. Okay, you can just approach the booth. Thank you. That's it.